Before I get started, I want to note that this video is just a theory. There's solid evidence it's happening, but at the end of the day, unless Jagex releases data to the public, we'll never know the full truth. A few days ago, I saw a small Reddit thread that really caught my eye. Can we please start calling out OSBuddy for manually manipulating item prices? With a picture of the Dragon Hunter Lance price graph on GE Tracker. It was completely stable the entire day before this happened. The Lance went skyrocketing down from 88 mil to 79 mil in less than an hour before rebounding right back up to 88 mil and doing this over and over again throughout the day. Although it's possible for this to happen, it's extremely unlikely as no content surrounding the Lance has released recently and nothing has been announced. Oddly enough, the same thing happened with the Dragon Hunter crossbow. In just one day, the price dipped from 105 mil to less than 50 before rebounding right back up. Although this started as just a theory on Reddit, there's actual proof from OSBuddy's developer that this manipulation is happening. Before we dive into it, here's a quick shout out to my clan chat and Discord. I've been doing a bond giveaway every week, so feel free to join both in the description below. To fully understand how this manipulation works, we need to understand the Grand Exchange first. You ever see those screenshots on Reddit of someone buying a T-bow for something like 2 mil or 1 GP? 99% of those are fake. So for this example, we're going to visit our own fake little virtual Grand Exchange. I've been doing a lot of Zulrah lately, so let's use Zulrah scales for our example. On screen right now, you can see a few buy and sell offers. None of them have completed because the prices don't line up. Let's say these are all from different players. Our character wants to buy a Zulrah scale and puts in an offer for 500 GP. Nobody is selling a scale for 500 GP, so what happens? In this case, the buyer will purchase the one that's on sale at 320 GP. But why? The Grand Exchange prioritizes based off time, price, and stock. Although we're not completely sure how the formula works. So in this case, the seller listed their item with nobody willing to buy that item for the price at the time. As soon as the buyer places an offer on the Grand Exchange, it will match the offer with the lowest seller and the buyer will receive 180 GP back. Let's say our virtual character no longer wants the Zulrah scale and tries to sell it for 250 GP. Who would actually get the scale out of these two buyers? In this case, it would sell to whoever has the highest offer at the time. So the guy trying to buy the scale for 310 GP would instantly purchase it for that price. This time, the buyer doesn't get any money back as all the extra will go to the seller. It's a little confusing, but hopefully you get the main idea. This is why buying a twisted bow for 1 GP is nearly impossible. Right now, there's probably thousands of offers of people trying to buy a twisted bow for more than that. Let's say our character puts in an offer for 1 GP, we more or less get shoved to the bottom of the list. Even if a seller puts a twisted bow in for sale at 1 GP, it's always going to go to whoever has the highest offer first. So with that out of the way, how do people fake these GE screenshots I talked about earlier? In theory, there should be no way for this to happen without some kind of Photoshop, right? Actually, no. Most items on the Grand Exchange have a buy limit. Once you reach that limit, you can't buy any more of that item. Oddly enough, you can put in offers for that item still, and if you sell that same item, it sells right back to you. So for example, someone could buy 8 Ranger boots, thus hitting the buy limit. They can then put an offer in to buy Ranger boots for 1 GP. If they try and sell one of their 8 Ranger boots for that same price, it essentially just sells right back to them for 1 GP. They keep the boots and get their money back. Now, selling items to yourself in this fashion doesn't actually end up showing on the OSBuddy website or GE Tracker. However, we're going to get to that in just a little bit. Now, there are other ways this could happen besides selling items to yourself. For example, if you're selling 3 twisted bows in 1 Grand Exchange slot, the slot can only go to max cash no matter what. So what happens if all 3 of these bows sell? They'd clearly go for around 3 bill. Let's say the first 2 bows sell for 1 billion GP each. So the Grand Exchange slot has 2 billion sitting in it right now, with roughly 147 million left available. Instead of this third bow not selling, it'll look for offers exactly at 147 mil or below and sell. So this is extremely unlikely, but it has happened before with items like the Elysian Spirit Shield. Another thing that's been brought up is that GE Tracker uses OSBuddy data in order to get its up-to-date prices. And with OSBuddy shrinking in user base since RuneLight's rise to popularity, many people believe the prices could just be out of date. But I did some digging and that's just not the case. GE Tracker Pro users get near exact timestamps as to when these items were bought and sold. It isn't as accurate as it may have been in the past, but it's still very up to date with items being bought and sold hundreds, even thousands of times a day. Even extremely niche items like the Phife are still pretty up to date with every day showing multiple sales. So despite all these other possibilities, why do people think that someone is manipulating these prices manually? Well, it's this response from OSBuddy's owner. After investigating, it seems the main cause of this is due to a bug in the Jagex stock market itself. It allows users to sell items to themselves if certain conditions are met. I'm writing up a patch to filter those prices out of our datasets now. Edit, apparently Jagex was made aware of this bug almost 3 years ago. This more or less proves that the Dragon Hunter lance in this image was being manipulated manually by someone selling the item to themselves. However, I did already point out that this shouldn't show up in OSBuddy data, so someone must have found a different way to do it than the commonly accepted method that I explained earlier. Matt also responded to another Redditor who had the same theory, that it may be because OSBuddy's user base is shrinking. He says this isn't the case at all. The problem is because OSBuddy displays the live price of items, meaning if an item is sold for 10 mil, that is the price. As soon as another item sells, the price is adjusted instantly to a rolling average of the last few items, based on the overall gross of the items on the market. It seems the problem is that for these low value items, people are able to sell items to themselves due to a bug in Jagex's Grand Exchange itself, thus being able to influence the price, and again says, I'm making a patch right now. Although Matt didn't comment on the post about the Dragon Hunter crossbow, I have no doubt that this was manually manipulated as well. Thousands of players own a crossbow, and for many, it's a considerable chunk of their bank. Chances are a mercher was trying to get players to panic sell their crossbows so the mercher could pick up a few for cheap and make some huge profits. Oddly enough, I can't seem to find this data on GE Tracker anymore, so it was likely manually removed or it's just too old to display that precisely. This isn't the first time the Grand Exchange has been manipulated, and it won't be the last. As far as I'm aware, the patch Matt talked about hasn't gone live yet, unless it was a hotfix that wasn't listed on the website's patch notes. Without a doubt, someone or a group of people have been manipulating these prices for years, as the accusations that it's OSBuddy doing it have been around almost just as long as the glitch. Chances are these people have caused some of the greatest item crashes and rises in old school history. So what's the point of this video, you may be thinking? Next time you see something crashing, maybe think twice about panicking. This bug has flown under the radar for at least 3 years, maybe more, and chances are it'll show up again in some form in the future. I hope you enjoyed this video, and hopefully I'll see you in the next one.